Dynamic Systems Incorporated is a manufacturing company specializing in orthopedic cushion materials. It's located near Asheville, North Carolina, in the quiet rural setting of Madison County. Dynamic Systems was founded in 1967 by an aeronautical engineer whose background included NASA's Apollo Moon project. The cushion material was developed as part of a special aircraft seating project for NASA. This research was extended to include medical studies of a seat cushion material developed by Dynamic Systems Incorporated. As a result of this special seating research, NASA introduced this new seat cushion material, having found it to have unusual and superior orthopedic support, and to provide high-impact energy absorption. Today, Dynamic Systems offers this advanced cushion material in several forms: SunMate, Pudgy, Laminar, and liquid SunMate foam-in-place seating. Although these products can be used for a variety of applications, Dynamic Systems developed them primarily to meet the needs of the severely disabled. Like SunMate, liquid SunMate is formulated with over 50% fresh plant ingredients, which add a sense of freshness you won't find in other seat cushions. Plant ingredients are also the reason for SunMate's low toxicity level in fires. Dynamic Systems uses a coating that is non-toxic, fire-retardant, waterproof, and elastic. There are currently two mixing techniques. The first is a method called the bowl mix, in which the foam-in-place ingredients are mixed in a bowl with an electric mixer or hand whisk. The second is a method called the bag mix, in which all the ingredients are mixed in a bag. The foam-in-place seating system uses 3 liquid ingredients, which are collectively known as liquid SunMate. Each chemical is pre-measured and packaged in a separate container. The 3 chemicals, polyol, iso, and catalyst, are collectively called a unit. There are 3 densities of liquid SunMate. Soft is primarily for low-pressure applications. For example, a bottom cushion for a small or lightweight person. Medium is well suited for a wide range of body weights, from 120 to 200 pounds. Semi-rigid is beneficial for firmer support needs and conditions where more structure support is required. Liquid SunMate comes packaged in 1/3, 1/2, and 1 unit sizes. The 1/3 and 1/2 unit sizes are generally used for foot, head, and armrests. The 1 unit size is used to make either a seat bottom or a seat back. When handling the foam-in-place chemicals, take the same precautions you would when handling any potentially hazardous item, such as solvent or hot water. The foam-in-place team, as well as the client, should wear protective clothing to protect them from accidental spills. Polyol, a mixture of several ingredients, determines the finished properties of the SunMate cushion. Polyol ingredients are relatively harmless. As a safety precaution, polyol contact with the skin should be washed with soap and water as soon as possible, and splashes to the eye should be washed away with water immediately. The catalyst is used to control the reaction speed of the foaming process. Catalyst is hazardous to the skin and the eyes. However, the small quantity used here makes splashing unlikely. If skin or eye contact occurs, wash the chemicals away immediately. The iso, technically referred to as MDI, reacts with the polyol mixture to produce carbon dioxide bubbles and the chemical linkages which give the cushion its elasticity. Dynamic Systems uses MDI because it's milder than other forms of isocyanate. It releases no fumes at room temperature, and it can be contained and managed with simple methods. Pouring the iso into the polyol and mixing initiates the foaming reaction. Research test results indicate that isocyanate fumes will not exceed the OSHA exposure limits during an ordinary foam-in-place reaction. Remember these safe handling procedures. Wear gloves and protective clothing to prevent skin contact. Wear protective glasses to prevent possible splashes to the eyes. Work in a well-ventilated area. And keep chemical containers in a safe area to prevent accidental spills or handling by untrained persons. A normal-size, well-ventilated room will have sufficient air circulation to avoid hazardous conditions. Follow the enclosed heating instructions if the ISO has formed crystals or if the polyol is very thick. The liquid SunMate foam in place is a custom molding procedure used to make a cushion that will contour to an individual's body. It is frequently used to achieve positive posture control. Inserts can be made in most kinds of wheelchairs, jerry chairs, or side liers. Molding a custom medical seat insert for a disabled person requires professional guidance. The foam in place team should include therapists familiar with the positioning of requirements of the client and a person skilled in the liquid SunMate technique. All users are required to be informed, cautious, and competent, and are expected to handle this product according to the instructions provided. Dynamic systems cannot assume responsibility for the misuse or misapplication of liquid SunMate by independent users. As a normal precaution, the work area floor should be covered with a drop cloth. The chairs should also be covered for protection from accidental spills. Have a large trash container close by for convenient waste disposal. For a wheelchair with a sling seat, plywood boards should be placed in the chair to provide a solid, flat foundation. Cardboard inserts should be used in the sides of the chair to confine the foam and guide it as it rises up and around the client's legs and hips. A tough, durable polyethylene trash bag can be used for the molding process. Light-colored trash bags are preferable because they allow you to view the foaming process and locate any trapped air pockets. Use a large 30-gallon bag when molding an insert for an adult. Mark the center line from the top to the bottom on the bag using a broad tip marker and a straight edge. This center line will be used later to position the bag in the chair. Place the SunMate base cushion inside the bag. This cushion will become an integral part of the molded seat. The thickness of the base cushion should be determined by the therapist. Place the bag containing the base cushion into the chair and eliminate any wrinkles or restrictions. The person to be molded today is an elderly woman who needs improved pelvic positioning and lateral support. Trial positioning is essential for a successful molding. Trial positioning will familiarize each member of the team with their duty. It usually takes 2 people to transfer, 1 to mix, and 1 to hold the bag open. Review the timing, steps, and individual responsibilities, and explain to the client what he or she may experience during the molding process. Practice transferring and positioning the client in the chair. Base cushions should be adapted at this point, so you do not have to hold the client in an unnatural position during the foaming process. For example, a wedge could be used as a base to help keep a spastic client from coming forward in their seat. While the client is still seated, check the height of the molding bag opening. The plastic bag needs to be high enough to contain all the expanding liquid SunMate. The height of the rising foam will be determined by the formulation of the foam used, size of the client, and fit of the chair. Make sure footrests are adapted to the new height of the base cushion. It's important that everything and everyone be organized and ready when the mixing process begins. Make sure the client is ready. The client must wear 2 layers of clothing to protect them from the heat generated in the liquid SunMate reaction. Internal foam temperatures can reach 140 degrees Fahrenheit. After the trial positioning is complete, the client is to be removed from the chair. The seat bottom will be molded using the bowl mix method. Upon opening the box, read the enclosed material safety data sheets and review the mixing procedure sheet. Remove the polyol container from the shipping box. With the polyol at room temperature, pour it into the 3-quart mixing bowl provided. Use the mixing stick to scrape all the sediment from the bottom of the polyol container. To contain splashes when mixing, place the bowl in the shipping box. Mix the polyol on high speed for 2 minutes. Thorough mixing is the key to a good reaction and good foam quality. Next, pour the catalyst into the polyol. Mix it in thoroughly at high speed for 30 seconds. Constantly turn the mixing bowl while lightly scraping the sides and bottom. Before adding the ISO, make sure everyone is ready. It is up to the person doing the mixing to appraise the therapist when to place the client in the chair. Place the mixer in the bowl and begin mixing at high speed. Quickly add ISO to the polyol mixture. Do not pour the ISO directly onto the beaters to avoid splashing. Once the ISO has been added, mix for about 15 seconds. Move the mixer constantly, scraping the bottom and sides of the bowl. When finished mixing, quickly set the mixer into the box. Pick up the bowl. Carefully pour the mix into the molding bag toward the front of the chair. Do not use up time trying to empty the bowl completely. Loosely close the molding bag by folding it back over the mix. You have 15 to 20 seconds to adjust the bag. Using your hands, press on the outside of the bag to move the mixture evenly around the base foam. The center lines on the bag are now useful in positioning the bag. If a pommel is desired, loosen the bag slightly in the front center to allow for foam expansion in that area. At this point, the therapists and assistants transfer the client onto the molding bag. The client is placed in the chair while the chemicals are still in a liquid form. The person in charge of mixing is to watch the molding bag to make sure that the foam can rise freely. While the foam is expanding, do not try to forcibly push it with your hands. Pushing crushes the delicate bubbles and creates firm, dense patches in the foam. Gently pull on the bag to adjust the foam if the sideboards don't provide sufficient guidance. While one person monitors the bag, the therapist is to be concerned with the positioning of the client. Remember, when the molding bag is filled with the liquids, it's quite slippery. The client will need to be gently held in place by their knees and/or pelvis. This is essential to prevent sliding, as well as to achieve proper positioning. This will also allow you to separate the legs to create a larger pommel area if needed. Trapped air in the molding bag needs to be released by poking a hole in the top front center of the pommel or in the corners of the bag just before the foam starts to set. Although the fumes are slight, avoid standing or breathing directly over the bag opening. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes for the foam to rise and set completely. The foam surface will take about 2 more minutes to cure. The client should stay seated during this time. Afterwards, the client may be removed from the chair. If a one-piece insert is being made, the client would remain seated and the back cushion could be molded directly to the bottom cushion. The process of pouring both the seat bottom and back as a one-piece insert requires 2 bags to be taped together. The client may now be removed from the chair in order to examine the seat bottom. The insert is to be evaluated by the person mixing and the therapist. At this time, the bottom cushion is removed and trimmed in preparation for molding the seat back. When trimming the bottom insert, a ruler may be used for cutting guidelines. After trimming, peel the plastic bag off the insert. If the foam is tacky, it needs to cure for a few more minutes. Neglecting to remove the bag will result in the insert becoming hard. Place the seat bottom back in the chair in preparation for molding a separate but matching seat back. Prepare a new molding bag for the back. Place a foam base pad inside of the bag. The thickness of the base foam is determined by the needs of the client. At least 1 to 1.5 inches is necessary. Place the new molding bag containing the base foam against the chair back. Once fitted, tape the ends of the bag in place to match the seat bottom. Reseat the client. Place cardboard panels in the chair to guide the foam upwards. Molding the back cushion is easier since the client remains seated for the entire process. Once again, the therapist is to review the patient's posture requirements prior to the mixing process. For clients with little or no muscle tone in their upper body, light pressure should be applied to their shoulders to keep the foam from pushing them forward. A small protective hat can be placed on the client's head to protect against accidental spillage. The back will be molded using the liquid SunMate bag mix method. Examine the shipping bag prior to opening it. Should there be any evidence of liquid spillage in the shipping bag, do not use it. Simply give us a call, and we'll advise you in how to get a replacement or refund. If everything looks all right, remove the foam-in-place bag pack from the shipping bag, lay it on the table, and examine it for leakage. Review all labels and instructions. Notice that the bag mix pack has 3 compartments, each containing 3 pre-measured quantities of catalyst, polyol, or iso. Each ingredient is labeled and isolated by a plastic clip lock. To begin mixing, first massage or shake the polyol portion of the bag for at least 2 minutes to redissolve any sedimentation. Remove the lock between the polyol and the catalyst. It's important to always hold the bag locks while mixing. This keeps the locks from accidentally coming loose and prevents accidental spills. Vigorously shake the polyol and catalyst together for 30 seconds. Mix as vigorously as possible, facing away from the client. Squeeze the catalyst out of the corner areas to make sure it's uniformly mixed. Before proceeding, stop and review all preparations. Make sure that the molding bag, therapist, assistants, and client are ready. When everything is ready, remove the lock between the iso and polyol. Mixing the iso into the polyol starts the foaming process. Vigorously mix for about 15 seconds. Should you need to abort the process at this point, drop the bag in a trash container. To pour the back insert, lean the client forward. Remove the lock at the bag opening and firmly grasp the neck of the bag. Carefully place the bag, neck first, deeply into the molding bag between the client and the base foam. Pour the liquid from side to side. Carefully remove the emptied bag pack from the molding bag and dispose of it in a trash container. Lean the client back while the therapist adjusts positioning. Gently hold the bag up to contain the rising foam. Do not stand directly over the top of the molding bag as some fumes and gases are escaping. Allow about 5 to 7 minutes for the foam to rise and cure. Afterwards, the client can be removed from the chair in order to do the rough trim. Once the foam process is complete, examine the insert. Mark areas for the first rough trim. Trim off excess material with an electric knife. Once the rough trim is complete, replace the back insert in the chair for a second stage of fitting. Return the client to the chair to mark where additional trimming is required for the final fitting. Look for areas under the arm and around the shoulder that might rub and cause discomfort. Check to make sure you have adjusted the insert to accommodate seat belts or lap trays. Mark the bottom and back so the 2 pieces can be lined up after being removed from the wheelchair. The seat can now be finished without the client. The final trimming process involves smoothing procedures. Areas caused by bag wrinkles can be glued back together. Ridges from clothing folds can be cut away. Additional clearance around the hip area can also be provided by trimming where desired with the electric knife or a high-speed Dremel, which is a hand die grinder. Once the trim is finished, the bottom and back inserts can be glued together to form a molded insert. First, align the 2 pieces together to check the fit. Do any additional trimming that may be necessary. Apply an even coat of glue to the area where the seat bottom and back will be joined. Use a strong contact adhesive such as 3M74. When the glue becomes tacky, place the 2 pieces together to make a smooth one-piece insert. Only the molded back will be used to demonstrate the finishing procedures. If the insert contains irregularities after trimming, A smooth finish can be obtained by gluing a thin quarter-inch sheet of soft SunMate laminate to the surface. It'll be necessary to trim a quarter-inch layer from the surface of the insert. Spray glue onto both the surface of the insert and the surface of the quarter-inch SunMate laminate. Gently lay the laminate over 1/2 of the insert. Press the quarter-inch layer into the contour of the insert and repeat the same procedure on the other half. When making a total insert, the quarter-inch foam will bunch, forming a dart in the deep contour of the hip area. To make the dart flush with the rest of the insert, simply trim the excess laminate almost flush with the insert. Spray the cut area with adhesive. Then use a tongue depressor to push it closed. Once this has been done, trim the excess quarter-inch laminate flush with the insert edges. With the inside surface completely layered with a soft, smooth finish, the insert is ready for a fabric covering. A removable Lycra cover can be made, or, as we'll show here, a fabric layer may be glued to the cushion surface to add durability to the finished seat. A 1- or 2-way cotton stretch knit fabric is recommended, as it will contour and adhere easily to the insert. Any medium to dark colored fabric can be used. Light pastel colored fabric is not recommended because the glue will show through the material. Spray only half of the contoured insert surface. Allow the adhesive to dry for a few seconds until it becomes tacky. Do not spray the fabric as wet adhesive will bleed through and discolor it. Gently stretch the fabric into place, working from the center outward. Apply pressure to the fabric to make sure the adhesive contact is strong. Working with the stretch of the fabric, seams can be totally avoided on the inner contour of the insert, thus avoiding ridges or pressure points. To make the seam, apply adhesive to the foam surface and pinch the fabric ends together with your fingertips. Let the seams dry completely. Then, trim the excess fabric with scissors to create smooth, flat seams. Repair any that have come open during trimming. The cushion is now ready to waterproof. A clear or colored silicone, such as GE2 window and door sealant, may be used to waterproof the fabric surface. Silicone waterproofing is to be applied in a well-ventilated area. Using a caulking gun, empty half of the contents of the tube of silicone onto the seat. When applying silicone to a fabric-covered insert, 2 coats will be required. When applying the first coat, hold the spreader vertically or perpendicular to the surface for good penetration into the fabric. The silicone coating provides an elastic waterproof seal which is permanently flexible and allows the insert to stretch and compress in a comfortable manner. After the first coat has set, in about an hour, apply the second coat. Use just enough silicone to make a smooth, consistent waterproof finish. While the second coat is still wet, it can be smoothed out by gently rubbing the wet silicone by hand with soapy water to eliminate any ridges. Depending upon the temperature and humidity, the insert will take 12 to 24 hours to dry. Siliconing will have to be done in stages to cover the entire insert. Cover as much as possible with each stage. When the insert is dry, turn it over and silicone another portion. Foam-in-place inserts finished in this manner are flexible, durable, and easily cleaned. In this review of the foam-in-place process, we are making a full insert for a 7-year-old girl with developmental delay and microcephaly. She is noted to have low muscle tone with a fixed thoracic kyphosis and a dislocated hip. The therapist would like to achieve some abduction of her hips and provide her with lateral trunk and head support. We will now go over the process step by step. The client will be using a tilt-in-space manual wheelchair with a pelvic belt and H-harness. The insert will be finished using a custom-sewn Rubitex cover. Contact Dynamic Systems if you would like a price list, catalog, and a sample pack of our products. Dynamic Systems offers a hands-on workshop for the foam in place process in either your facility or ours. Please call for prices.